Hello, my name's Tony Gray and welcome to lesson number 6 on this mini course that I'm doing, which is explaining all the available chord tones and upper structure tensions found over a major 7 chord. Now this pattern is going to start on tension sharp 11, so the order of notes are going to be sharp 11, 13, root, third, the major third, 5, major 7, and then we're going to end on tension 9. That's the ascending pattern. Descending, we're going to be starting on tension 9, but I'm going to kind of isolate both of these patterns and just focus first on the ascending pattern because it has a different feel technically, it looks visually different, and then we'll go into the descending pattern from tension 9, which again has a different technique feel, and of course your mind's going to be thinking in a different way. I'm going to show you 2 variations for the 4 string that's going to span across all 4 strings, and then I'm going to move over to the 6 string bass where I'm going to show you 2 variations that span across 5 strings. Now the reason why I'm showing you on 2 different basses is because basically if you play a 4 string bass, these patterns are going to become invaluable to you, and if you play a 5 or a 6 string bass, knowing all 4 variations is going to really help you, especially when you're improvising and soloing and writing melodies. You really want as many choices as possible, you know. It's not one of these things where you're going to be thinking, oh, I have this choice, I have that choice, but it's going to become a really instinctive way for you to play. You're not even going to be having to think about what choices you're going to make. You're just going to actually be playing the most logical pattern available to you because you're going to be in the flow of whatever you're doing. So we're going to be studying these over cycle 5, which again helps build fluency and awareness. So we'll be moving through all keys. The patterns are going to appear on the screen. Again, these exercises they're very fundamental, but they often get overlooked, and I've just been really wanting to kind of do a series of lessons like this just to kind of, first of all, give you something to practice, but give you something that's going to be useful for you down the line when you help build this fluency. Okay, so it's a great technique exercise, it's a great neck awareness. You know, you're going to be moving all over the fingerboard in all keys. You're going to understand all the available tensions and chord tones for major chords, which is really useful when you're soloing. We're going to show you some visualizations so you can kind of have these upper structures at your fingertips. You're going to be able to hear how the tensions sound against the chords, which in my opinion is the most valuable lesson in all of this, is being able to hear how these tensions and chord tones work. We're creating a whole set of new muscle memory patterns for you, so you can really start getting away from the root when you're improvising, which is really important and a problem a lot of bass players have. You know, we're so used to playing the root that when we come to solo we get stuck in these boxed patterns from the root. So hopefully this will kind of give you and your muscles other options, and they'll be right at your fingertips. Okay, so I'm going to show you the first fingering pattern. I'll play it for you first. So we're going to start on the 2nd fret of the E string for this F sharp, tension sharp 11. And then in position, basically on the 5th fret of the E string, we can have that tension 13. So it's 1, 4. Now from there, you can go up to the A string, in position, 2nd finger, 3rd fret for that C. Then move up to the D string, in position, 1, 4. So from the top, 1, 4, E string, 2, A string, 1, 4, D string. Now for this B, instead of playing your 3rd finger, which is going to keep you in that position, I want you to use your 1st finger. So it's 4 on the 5th fret of the D string for that G, then 1 for that B, and then in that new position, 4 will give you tension 9. 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 1, 4. Now understanding these position shifts are really important because what we're doing is developing an instinctive way of moving around our instruments, so we're not just playing these vertical patterns and then moving up the instrument with our little finger and descending in a vertical position and moving down the fingerboard with our 1st finger. This is something I teach and I preach quite a lot because I think having an awareness and a fluency of moving around your instrument is really important. So here's the variation. This time I'm going to move up to the 14th fret and start with my 3rd finger. So F sharp with your 3rd finger on the 14th fret, and in position 1, 4 on the A string. And then what we can do here is a position shift right away. So instead of using your 3rd finger for this E on the 14th fret of the D string, I want you to use your 1st finger. And from there, in position 4 and then we can do another position shift here, 1, 4 on the G string. So from the top, E string, 14th fret, 3rd finger, so it's 3, 1, 4, A string, 1, 4, D string, and then 1, 4 on the G string. 3, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. Now I'm going to show you some visualization stuff here. So you can kind of think of this from sharp 11, tension sharp 11, we can play this diminished triad. So it's F sharp AC. That spells out a diminished triad. And then from there, what we were doing is really playing an E minor 7 chord, or the chord tones from an E minor 7, which is just basically a minor chord built from the 3rd degree. And that's a really common upper structure, especially when improvising. I've seen it a million times in solos that I've transcribed. A lot of patterns built off that 3rd degree there. So again, it's a diminished triad from the F sharp, and then E minor 7 on top there. So that's one way you can kind of visualize that stuff. So on the 6th string bass now, I'm going to show you 2 variations of that pattern starting from tension sharp 11, and it's going to span across 5 strings, so it's perfect for a 5 or a 6 string bass. Now this first pattern doesn't have any position shift, so it's just all in this 4 fret radius. We can start on the 7th fret of the B string for that F sharp. It's going to be 1, 4, E string 2, all in position, A string 1, 4, D string 3, and then ending with our 1st finger on the 7th fret of the G string for that tension 9. So it's 1, 4, 2, 1, 4, 3, 1. Now the variation of that, we can start with our 3rd finger, okay, and again across 5 strings. So 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the B string, so it's 3 in position for that A on the 5th fret of the E string, 1, 4. Now I want you to do the position shift, so we have our F sharp diminished triad there, 3, 1, 4, and then instead of using our 3rd finger for that E, we can use our 1st finger here to create that shift. So 3, 1, 4, now 1, 4 on the A string, and then we can end the same way as we did before, 3 on the D string, and 1 on the 7th fret of the G string. So 3, 1, 4, position shift, 1, 4, 3, 1. So we've got that basically that F sharp diminished triad, and then the E minor 7, that regular minor 7 position. Okay? So I'm now going to play this ascending pattern starting from tension sharp 11 over a major 7 cycle 5 progression. We'll start on a C major 7 and move through all keys. So we're now going to look at the descending pattern on the 4-string bass, and basically we're going to start from tension 9, so the order of notes descending will be 9, 7, 5, 3, root, and then tension 13 and ending on tension sharp 11. Okay, so I can show you 2 fingering patterns here. Okay, we'll start with this one down here. So basically on the 7th fret, you can play that D with your 4th finger on the G string, so it's 4 in position, 1 for that B, and then from there, instead of playing the G with your 2nd finger, we can do that position shift and use our 4th finger. So it's 4, 1, 4, 5th fret of the D string, and then 1 again on the 2nd fret of the D string, and then from there we can stay in position 2 on the 3rd fret of the A string, and then ending 4, 1 in that position on the E string. So from the top, 4, 1, G string, 4, 1, D string, 2, A string, 4, 1, E string. The variation of of that pattern, we'll move up now to the 19th fret of the G string for that D. So it's 4-1 in that position, 19th fret, and then 17th fret of the D string for that G. So I've got that position shift there, so 4-1, 4. Now in that position, 1 for that E, 14th fret of the D string, and then we can do another position shift to get that C with our 4th finger. So 4-1, 4-1, 4. And from there, stay in position 1, 12th fret of the A string, ending 3rd finger on the 14th fret of the E string. 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 2. And the visualization is we're basically descending down an E minor 7 chord from the 7th degree. So you've got all your chord tones there for E minor, and then we're just descending down a diminished triad, an F sharp diminished triad. So C, A, F sharp. So understanding that upper structure, especially that E minor 7 over a C major 7, is going to be a really useful tool, and you don't have to play the whole pattern. You can just kind of pick fragments out of it, especially through all of these patterns starting on different degrees. It should have opened up your ears and your mind and given you a few more options for when you're improvising. I'm now going to demonstrate the variations on the 6th string, and then we'll do the cycle 5 descending pattern. So I'm now going to show you 2 variations of the descending pattern from tension 9 on the 6th string bass, spanning across 5 strings, same fingering pattern, but again a different way of thinking, so it's really good to work on both. So first we're going to do the pattern that stays in one position. So we start on the 7th fret of the G string for that D, tension 9. Okay, so 1, 3rd finger, now D string, 3, A string in position 4-1, now E string 2, 8th fret of the E string, and then ending 4-1 on the B string. So 7th fret, G string 1, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1. Okay, so we're moving down that E minor triad, E minor 7 chord first, and then descending down that F sharp diminished triad. So the second variation of that, we can start the same way, and it just has a slight position shift, but it's really useful to kind of know the possibilities you have, just because we don't want any limitations in our knowledge. You know, it's a very simple thing to adjust, but it also introduces a position shift which could be useful for the next chord you're playing on. So just understanding where you can shift and an opportunity to shift is really good, especially for sight reading or improvising. So we'll start on the 7th fret again of the G string, 1, D string in position 3, now A string in position 4-1, so we've got that whole minor 7 there, E minor 7, and then we're going to do our position shift. So instead of our 2nd finger on the 8th fret of the E string, we can use our 4th finger on the 8th fret of the E string, and then stay in that new position for 1 on the 5th fret of the E string, ending with our 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the B string. So again, 1, 3, 4, 1, position shift, 4, 1, 3. So I'm now going to play this descending pattern starting from tension 9 over a cycle 5 major 7 progression, starting on C major 7, moving through all 12 keys. Now once you're comfortable with that, move on to the final lesson where we're going to start this pattern from tension 13.